This will be my final Black Ops 1 video, and it will be the big one, ranking all of the primaries in Black Ops 1. Now I don't want to make this intro too long, so let's just jump right into it. Also, quick note, I will be saying the gun, what I like about it, what I dislike about it, and its best attachment. Alright, let's go. So coming in at 31, dead last, is the Caparis. The Caparis' upsides are a very fast reload speed and a pretty good looking model. The downsides are visual kick, recoil, fire rate, magazine, lack of really good attachments, damage, everything. The Caparis is one of the worst guns in COD history, and I just want to say that I stand by that completely. But if you do want to run the Caparis, the only attachment you should be running is rapid fire, just because. Now we're gonna move on to the BO1 2000. The upsides, it's good range. Can get a one-shot kill. The downside's a 6-round mag, very slow, worse than the Dragunov in every way. But if you do want to run it, I would say just run extended mag. Nothing can really help the snipers in this game. Snipers were really bad because of the weird thing with quickscoping. And yeah, the BO1 2000 sucked. Coming in at 29 is the RPK. The RPK is really held down by its very, very harsh recoil and just being inferior to the other LMGs. And the RPK, but if you do want to run it, congratulations, there are two things that you should be running: the drum mag and steady aim. The upsides to the RPK are a pretty decent reload speed, and it looks like a pretty big AK. The downsides, recoil, and that's it. Just very bad recoil. Now we're gonna go on to a very hot water take. The M16. The M16 is, in my opinion, a very bad gun, and it's not nearly as good as any other M16. The M16 can be 1 burst all the way to 3 bursts. The upsides, whenever you do get a one-shot kill, it's very satisfying. And another upside is that it's the M16. That's just an upside in itself. We're on 28. The downside is whenever it's a 3-round burst. Like, it's 3 shots and it's burst, so it's like a 9-shot kill. But if you do want to run it, you want to run a master key with this, because it's not good at close range. It really isn't. And we're going to move on to the MP5. Now, the MP5 has, like, genuinely, it's not great, but it's not necessarily bad at anything. It's like a very bad Jack of all trades gun. So the MP5 has absolutely horrendous iron sights. it's slow, and its reload speed is slow. The upsides are it only kicks up, but it does have a lot of kick. That is another downside. If you do want to run it though, I would say run a sight with it. And basically, yeah. We're going to move on to the simplest one. The double-barreled shotgun, the Olympia. The Olympia is actually not good and not bad. If you want to just get multi-kills, either go HS10 or Spazz 12. But the Olympia is kind of a mix between all the shotguns. You know, the Olympia would be fantastic if you could put an attachment on it. And you can't put an attachment on it. Its upsides, genuinely just, it's a double-barrel shotgun. It's pretty fast, pretty good damage, pretty reliable. Its downsides, 2 shots, slow reload speed, limiting range, no attachments. Now we're going to move on to a gun I was talking about earlier, the Dragunov. Now the Dragunov is only good because it's unique. The Dragunov, if you want a spam sniper, you just use the Dragunov because it's not the WA 2000. And that's basically the only reason you would ever run the Dragunov. Upsides, it's a spam sniper, 2-shot, it has a scope. Downsides, it's not good, but it's unique. So if you like it, you like it. We're going to move on to the Uzi. And the Uzi, the upsides, it has a great time to kill. Its fire rate's good. It's good in all stats but one. And that is, its recoil is terrible. But if you want to use the Uzi, you want to run steady aim and rapid fire, and just only hip fire this thing, and keep like a ballistic knife. If you're really confident with your ballistic knife shots from long range, I would run the Uzi in my back pocket and just whip it out and get a multi-kill. So I would say the Uzi is pretty good at that, but it's not a great primary. So if you're pretty confident with your crossbow / ballistic knife shots, hey, why not? But the recoil is terrible. Never aim down sight with this thing. Now we're going to move on to the M60. God, this video is going to be 30 minutes long. I don't care. Now, the M60 is a very good gun, but it's also bad. It's not reliable, but it's very slow. But the upsides are its damage is fine. Iron sights aren't too bad. But I would say the big upside to the M60 is the attachment extended mag. Immediately bumps this thing up to 200 rounds in a mag. And so I would say it's not reliable, it's slow, but its damage is good, and you can get 200 rounds in one mag. So it's fine with that. I mean, now we're going to move on to the Mac 11. The Mac 11 has a great time to kill, and it has very little recoil. You're going to see that a lot of those guns coming up that have great time to kill, but little recoil. But I would say the Mac 11 is kind of held back by its terrible iron sights, its really bad reload speed, and it has a little bit of recoil. But you can still use it. But I think of the three guns that are kind of like that, the Mac 11, the PM63, and the MPL, the Mac is the worst. But you can still run it. It's still a good gun. And we're going to move on to the HK21. Now, the HK21 is a very good LMG, but it's not the Stoner 63. So that's the upsides are, it's actually a very fair LMG that's very reliable, not too much recoil, good damage. It's a standard LMG. But if you're going to want to run it, you're going to want to put a sight on it, because that's its downside. Its iron sights are terrible. Another downside is that it's not the Stoner 63. Yay. Now we're going to move on to, and I just want to group these two guns together, just because I feel like it. The M14 and the FNFAL. And the M14 and the FAL are very similar because they're both 3-shot kill, but I think the FAL wins in long range because the FAL's 3-shot kill, no recoil, and the M14 is a little bit faster, a little bit more recoil. So that's what I say. Do you guys like M14 or FAL? Just say it in the comments or something. Now we're going to move on to the Scorpion. And the Scorpion has probably the weirdest stats of all time. Definitely. Because, I mean, the Scorpion is a very fine weapon. It has a very cool reload animation, though. Very, very good reload animation. It's a very bland gun. It's like the Mac and the PM63, but it's more bland. Actually, its range isn't bad, but I would say, like, I don't know. There's nothing really special about it. Upsides, cool reload animation. Downsides, nothing there. I don't know. If you want to run it, I guess use the extended mag or rapid fire. I mean, there's no recoil on it, so I'd say that's... So 2 upsides, no recoil, and cool reload animation, but that animation is slow, but it's cool, and it's a little bit slow, so yeah, boring gun. We're gonna move on to the coolest, we're gonna move on from the boringest gun to the coolest gun, the HS-10, and the HS-10 is only dual-wielded shotgun in this game. And first of all, if you did not know that dual-wielded shotguns are a thing, yeah, whoever did that, thank you. Yes, dual-wield shotgun. But you can also run it single form. It's fine. But the upsides are, of course, the attachment you're going to want to run is dual-wielded. I mean, duh. Dual-wielded, steady aim. Here's the upsides. When dual-wielded, it has a very quick reload animation when dual-wielded. The downsides are it's very limited, very, very limited range. And if you're not running steady aim for some reason, its hipfire is wildly inaccurate. So I'd say it's a pretty solid gun. Alright, so we're at 16. And we're gonna go on to the most iconic gun, one of the most, the AK-47. Well, in this game, it was AK mediocre. The AK-47 was nothing special, really. I mean, it had a few things going to it for it, but the downsides were its visual kick. That was pretty bad. Like, apparently the developers really liked visual kick on the AK-47, so they put it in 2 games. So, but you can run a sight on it. So run a sight on the AK-47. Now we're gonna move on to the Psg One. And the Psg One was actually probably the best gun at range, and I mean maximum range. Its damage was good, its range was fantastic. You know, it ain't half bad, But it was a slow semi-auto. Downside, the scope was bad. Scope was really bad. Of course, aim down sighting was very wonky in Black Ops 1. And yeah, we're gonna move on from a gun that has changed like 7 different spots and for me, caused me a lot of trouble. Spazz 12. Yeah, the Spazz 12, at first I thought this gun was really, really good, and then I realized this thing has like 50 downsides. Yeah, so, first of all, for some reason, there's a recoil pattern to the Spazz. For some reason. Yeah, recoil on a shotgun. That's a first. Another downside was it had like no really meaningful attachments. But if you did want to run it, I would run steady aim. Again, just going with all shotguns. Run steady aim. Yeah, we're gonna move on to another mediocre gun, the Einfield, the Blandfield, the Cornfield, the Nothing Special gun. Yeah, Einfield was boring. Really, really boring. There's like 50 guns that are just like the Einfield. So honestly, it's a jack of all trades gun. Good range. Mediocre fire rate, mediocre recoil. Pretty decent damage. Nothing special about this gun. Reload animation was solid. I'll give it that. If you want to run it though, run the master key. And yeah, that's all you need to know. Coming in at number 12 is the MPL. I swear to you, before coming into this ranking, I thought the MPL was top 5. And I was just like, coming back, I was like, yeah, it's solid. But there's like 50 other guns that are solid. The MPL, really, it's very good. Iron sights are its big upside. It has fantastic upsides. Iron sights. But its downsides are not really there. Actually there was no downsides to the MPL. Besides it's not a top 10 gun. But if you did want to run it, of course you had to run grip. We're gonna move on, going only one slot up to its slightly better cousin, number 11, the PM63. The PM63 was a very versatile gun, because although it had a better time to kill than the MPL, it was a little bit faster, put a grip on it, no recoil, or little recoil, maybe put an extended mag on it. You're gonna want to run. This is a warlord gun right here. Put an extended mag and grip on it, and you're good to go. Next we're gonna move on to the Stakeout. Stakeout was solid. Stakeout was the best shotgun. I mean, pump action shotgun. Really, its upsides, it was consistent, very consistent, good damage. Steady aim exist. Downsides, grip was kinda useless on a shotgun. 4 rounds, shotgun, limited range. Now we're gonna move on to the L96A1. I love saying that name. The L96A1. So, L96A1 would have been really, really, really good. One of the best snipers we've ever gotten. But the upsides are it's fantastic bolt action. If you're camping with either an L96A1 or a Psg, and you just love the bolt action, quick bolt, great iron sights, or great scope, didn't kick to the ceiling when shot as much, but the downsides were it had an inconsistent bolt. Like if you shot and then meleeed, or you shot, rechambered, meleeed, you'd have to rechamber again. That was very wonky. Again, the quick scoping in this game was just terrible because there was like a delay. And yeah, so basically I'd say it's a great bolt action, but it's held back by glitches. Now we're gonna go on to the Swiss Army knife on, you know what, you guys are already staring at it, the Spectre. The Spectre is the Swiss Army knife, effective in all ranges. You need to put in Warlord, but the Spectre was fantastic. It did everything you wanted it to. Besides, not being blatantly overpowered, the Spectre was really, really good at everything. I mean, if you put a grip and a reflex sight on it. So the upsides are, it's a Swiss Army knife. It's amazing at everything. Downsides are, you need to put in Warlord. So I'd say that's Spectre right there. We're gonna move on to the just blatantly overpowered guns. The Commando. The Commando was solid. I mean, really, really good. It was the Commando. It was upsides. Upsides were, it was little recoil, big damage. But the downsides were, it was slow. I just feel kind of slower when holding on to this gun. Slow aim, downside speed, a little bit slow reload. But but it was solid. Now we're gonna move on to number 6, the AUG. And also, for both the Commando and the AUG, the best attachment you're gonna want to run is the Master Key. The AUG was... Hey, the AUG was a fantastic close-range gun. Not the best, but not the worst. AUG had everything. AUG was fine. AUG was fine. I wouldn't say it was a Swiss Army knife, but I would say killed really fast. Great at mid-range. Not screwed in close. Not screwed at long range. Yeah, it was fine. Now we're gonna move on to the AK-74U. Now this gun, without a grip, wasn't amazing, wasn't great. With a grip, top 5, and that's where I put it, number 5. So, the AK-74U is really good. It's good, Very, very fast time to kill. 3rd highest time to kill. But you gotta put a grip on it. So the upsides are fast time to kill. Pretty solid range. No, that's a downside, is that it really wasn't amazing at long range. But hey, this is another gun if you're confident with your ballistic knife shots at long range. Congrats. You have a top 5 weapon. Now we're gonna move on to a... Now, I said that the top 5 are all very overpowered. We're gonna just enforce that with the G11. One of the best burst weapons we've gotten. The G11 was... If I were to compare this gun to anything, it would be the Apex Legends Prowler. The G11 had a fantastic... The low power zoom was amazing. One of the best sight we've ever gotten. If you wanted a quickscope, just use the G11. That's what I kind of like to think. That's something I like to make a joke of, is if you want a quickscope, use the G11 with the low power. This thing was fast. This thing was deadly. This thing's hip fire was amazing. Now the downsides was a little inconsistent. Not as inconsistent as the M16, but a little bit. That's why it's not number 1. And originally I did have it at number 1. But we're gonna move on to the... Actually, we're staying here. To the Galil. This gun was perfect. I mean, the Galil with a sight, no recoil, very, very, very big damage, and the upsides, no recoil, big damage, good fire rate, good mobility, great accuracy. You see all these little boxes? Yeah, those are all being basically put up to 11. Okay, now we're moving on. If those were all A tier weapons, these guns are S tier. And I'm gonna be honest, both of these guns are just the best there have ever been. I'm being honest. We're gonna enforce that with the Stoner 63. Now, the Stoner 63 was everything you wanted in an LMG. It was quick. The only thing I like to say is that the Stoner 63 is probably the second best LMG in COD history. Number 1 is the MG42 from COD World War II. That thing was fantastic. But the Stoner 63 is just, it's so, the time to kill is amazing. Downsides was probably the low mag, I say, was a little bit of a downside. Just a little bit. But if you put an extended mag, 60 rounds ain't half bad. But we're gonna move on. Number 1. Now, if you've played Black Ops 1 at all, you know what gun it is. It even put us right there. It's the Famas. The Famas with a grenade launcher is one of the most dominant experiences in multiplayer history. You have all your bases covered with a Famas. You know, first of all, looks cool. Great iron sights. Very little recoil. Great damage. Great fire rate. Great range. Maybe the range was its weakest point. For its downsides, I don't know. I don't even think there was one. Too overpowered. With a grenade launcher, which gives you a lot of aim, which gives you, first of all, grenades, and it gives you some range, the Famas was a perfect gun. So that's all 31 of my rankings in exactly 31 minutes. I'm just gonna say a quick little thing. We are done with Black Ops 1. Either Wednesday or Thursday. You know what? Wednesday I'm gonna get we're gonna start off with Black Ops 2. We're gonna start off with the tacticals ranked, all those Black Ops 2 tacticals. Get them all done, get them all ranked. Okay, that's my list. Have a great day.